Passchier de Fijne. Passchier de Fijne, also Paschier, and also Fyne, Leiden, January 31, 1588, Haarlem, buried there October 27, 1667. He was one of the first pastors of the Remonstrant Brotherhood. Because of his forbidden preaching on the ice of the river Gouwe at Gouda, he was also called the kingfisher. Biography. De Fijne was a son of the cloth worker Passchier de Fijne and Maidcowarts who fled from the southern Netherlands. Initially, he followed in his father's footsteps and became a cloth worker. He did not study at a theological faculty, but was trained in this profession by two pastors, among whom Cornelis Damen from Oudorp. After having been examined by the classis Brielle, he obtained permission to exercise the office of minister. However, he would first return to his native city of Leiden. There he developed sympathy for the supporters of the theologian Arminius in the early days of the 12 Years' Truce 1609–1621, and took sides with the Remonstrants. In 1611 he was appointed as a minister in Jaarsveld because of his Remonstrant disposition. During the Synod of Dordrecht, he refused to give up his views. He was expelled from the region, but went into hiding. He continued to preach on behalf of the Remonstrant Brotherhood, founded in 1619. Because preaching was forbidden to him by the government, he traveled in disguise across the country and preached in various shelters. In the winter, he preached on the ice of the Gouwe River near Gouda, for which he owes his nickname the Kingfisher. In Gouche Lake Kerkzaken, this is described by Ignatius Walvis as follows. As it had frozen very strongly afterwards, he did the 19 of January 1620 a predicate at the end of the day, standing outside on the ice, with a thin skirt and blue nose-cloth around him. He was on an ice sledge, and the audience mostly on skate on the Gouwe. At the conclusion of the sermon, he commanded to sing a psalm, and the sledge drove on with him. Then all the skates followed to Waddinxveen. The others stopped and sang the psalm. Because of that preaching on the ice, the Gouda Remonstrants called him the Kingfisher if they spoke of him and wanted to cover his name. In the vicinity of Gouda he was hunted by the bailiff and heretic hunter Antony Klootz, and in the vicinity of Leiden he was hunted by the bailiff Willem de Bont. In a raid by Klootz during an illegal church service of de Fijne, Klootz was so attacked by the churchgoers that he had little chance of success. De Fijne made contact with the collegians in Rijnsburg, a movement led by Elder Jasperg van der Cod. Attempts on his part to bring them to the Remonstrant Brotherhood were shipwrecked. After the death of Maurice of Orange in 1625, the climate for the Remonstrants gradually calmed down. After his period as a traveling preacher, he was confirmed in 1633 as a Remonstrant preacher in Haarlem. De Fijne wrote many books and pamphlets in which he defended the views of the Remonstrants. In his pamphlets, he regularly used the dialogue as a means to highlight his views. In his polemic with the minister of the Hague Casper Striso, he performed a Piet Farmer in conversation with a minister. For the Remonstrant foreman Eduard Papias, he wrote a preface to his posthumous 1625 Court and Grondig Bericht, directed against the Gomarists. De Fijne married Machteld Jans Bouchout on February 19, 1612 in Leiden. He died in October 1667 at the age of 79 in Haarlem. He was buried in the Grote Kerk, Haarlem. Works: Een Trouwertig Vermaning 1620. Broder Lake Vermaning 1624. De Silveren Nald 1624. Nieuw Eier Geschenk, vereerd in alle remonstrants Jessend. 1625. Een klein monstertje, met een warchtich verhaal, van mishandeling die den remonstrant gevengen en predikenten gestiet is 1625. Silver vergeld nailed bequemam aft lichten de Wielisen van Dugen der Hollands Regent in 1625. Veen boer weg korting, oft t semen spreektuschen, een gereformeerden predikant en een veen boer die de Heegst manier van spreken niet begrepen in 1642. Veen boers bestrijd 1642. Winterturf 1642. Veen boer in Weerschouwing, over het verwoord bereid, dat hij uit Den Haag ontvangen heeft 1642, den Seiken Wienbouwer, van seinen predikant besacht en vertroost wordt. Sier not te lessen voor alle gezond, om tate van Seikt, een vasten troost, te mogen hebben 1643. Lamoren Craig Anders, Menonisten Kirkentwist 1663. Zemans Nieuwe Eier, oft tesamens spreek van vernieuwing des levens, tuschen Pieter Luchtvaart en Jan Sweerhoofd, Kort, Werechtig, en Getrouw verhaal van het eerst beginnen opkomen van de nieuwe sect der profeten of Rinsburgers in het dorp van Wormont, anno 1619 en 1620-1671. Het leven en eenige by Sander Voorvallen, van Passchier de Fijne 1694, de oud-laatste patroon of Durden October's banquet attributed to Passchier de Fijne 1630, reissued in 1833 with notes by Jan Romer and reissued in 1867 with introduction and notes by Jean Theodore Bergman. Notes and references